Hi Gemini, here is a general look at your solar chart for November 2015, and the Sun has come into Scorpio up until the 23rd, and that means you could be a bit busier. But before I get to what's happening with your sign for this month, I just want to mention these two long-running transits, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, Pluto. Now Uranus, Pluto, if you've been following the astrology, you'll know is very much in the background towards, kind of economic global meltdown, and basically it's very challenging the social structures, the status quo, the establishment, and shifting things which have been taken for granted socially, economically, culturally for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this is still going on, even though technically they've moved further apart. They're still pretty close, and as I've said more than once previously, it's not over till it's over, and we shouldn't be looking to think, okay, we can rest on our laurels now until we get into 2020s. Now for Saturn, Neptune. Well, Saturn, Neptune was hanging in the air a lot earlier this year, around about the time, and of course Neptune rules the seas, and it rules mysterious illnesses, things that can't be pinned down, So of the Ebola outbreak, also refugees traveling with children across very, very treacherous terrain to get to the safety, as they thought, of Western Europe, and being, a lot died on the way, plucked out of the seas, mostly the Mediterranean, and being tricked and cheated by those sharks, basically, who wanted their money and then just left them to die on boats and so on in the Mediterranean. Also had their way barred at Calais, trying to get through the tunnel to the UK, which they see as sort of the promised land in a way, which, everything's relative. So it probably is, it really, really is. We all have to have our promised land. We all have to have it, even if it's just our favorite sort of celebs on the TV. I mean, it's kind of just our promised land. It's potential of what can be. So it's called hope. It's called that star of hope. And now Saturn is the planet of physical boundaries, material structures. It's also about the status quo, the establishment, and Neptune is very, very ethereal. It's kind of without boundaries, and it's ideological, but it's also about victimization. It's about escape, among other things, and trying to do basically the highest manifestation maybe is compassionate, trying to do the best for the common good, for the whole of all, with all sort of personal desires and ego put on one side. So it's definitely the planet of higher service. Now, these sort of notions are far too sort of ambiguous and airy-fairy and head in the clouds for Saturn, who wants to apply a system to a situation. And it's sort of like top-down, it's kind of the government. So Saturn asks, okay, the how, and wants to deal with the nuts and bolts of the situation. And of course, here we are in this dimension of nuts and bolts, of dualism. So the Neptunian vibration of wholeness and union needs to be, we need to find practical ways to apply things so that it relieves suffering, and it makes sense out of the randomness and the chaos of things, which is more up Neptune Street. So and Neptune's about a heck of a lot else than that as well. But just for this example, Saturn rules authority figures, and also cares about appearances, cares about traditions and historical standards. But also on the flip side, Saturn is this very, very caring, responsible mother energy, which wants to protect and guard and guide and provide for others, okay, for those in her care. Now, these two planets are a very sort of an angle which makes a lot of friction. And so therefore it's kind of a pressure cooker energy, the same as Uranus, Pluto, in fact. And that particular angle seems to be quite adept at manifesting, events in the world, situations in the world, which we in the world have to, on the one hand, take the lesson from as we're grappling with it and struggling with it and trying to figure it out, but also and then get the resolution to it. But also we have to maybe not just bemoan the fact that the thing is happening or the things are happening, whether it's in your private life, which you can probably find in your natal chart, how that might be triggering off each other, and then figure out how best to deal with it, so that you keep it harnessed, and then you can really get things more how you want them to be, or in the wider world. Okay, so we need to it's not about what happens, it's about how we respond to what happens. It's always about how we respond to what happens. So at the moment, Saturn is in Sagittarius, which is about long journeys, foreign cultures, different ideologies, different belief systems. Religion, of course, is a big one with Sagittarius, and the higher law. And Neptune is very much about higher laws as well, but even beyond the human realms. It's about total integration and wholeness and individuation and union. So we need to do the best we can with Saturn coming out of Sagittarius. There will be issues around other people's ideologies and belief systems, religions. There will be issues around maybe integration as well of those whose cultural background is very different to another's cultural background, and this is all in the mix. It's all to do with coming into the age of Aquarius as our consciousness raises and we actually become aware of these things, whereas 100 years ago we wouldn't have been. We'd have just kind of, oh well, our consciousness wouldn't have let us, just sweep it under the carpet. We don't go there. We don't do that. Saturn is also about the shadow side of us, our psyches as well. So maybe a little bit more of the shadow side coming out here too. Things again which have been maybe taboo or kept from us, because of course now we have the internet, and the whole world is becoming a village. We're in a global village. So anyway, it seems to me that Saturn in Sagittarius and Neptune at home, very strongly coming out of its own sign, Pisces, brings in a new kind of confusion and uncertainty about how we help the needy without having the greedy pulling the wool over our eyes. And we could apply this thinking to different situations, like perhaps gun laws in certain parts of the world, and keeping tabs on, who's selling weapons to who, etc., behind the scenes. And I know that's only just the real tip of the iceberg, because it's grassroots stuff is about actually the changing of the hearts of many here. And really, I think, in fact, there is kind of coming in this split, as many saw in the run-up to 2012. There was this two-world split. And those of you who were aware of that, can you see how that's happening now? It's very interesting, isn't it? So how to execute the compassionate service required in an orderly, practical, structured fashion. It's quite a dilemma. So our task is to try and balance a higher vision and empathy and emotional intelligence. There's a lot of clever guys out there and gals. But let's have some emotional intelligence. Let's have some emotional common sense. And I don't mean emotional reactiveness. I mean a feeling common sense. And marry that up with realistic possibilities. Anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. So these two, Saturn, Neptune, have a look and see where they're transiting in your chart. I'll mention that to do with the sun sign charts. And you can even look at the house position, so see which house position they're in, and also maybe even the signs they ruled, which is Capricorn and Pisces. And it might be quite enlightening. And now for other news, up until the 23rd, the sun is in Scorpio, meaning that you could have more on your plate, more to deal with, more niggly details to deal with, that kind of thing. You might feel a bit sort of scattered with it all, but this is the time to kind of pull it all together somehow or other and get organized. Maybe for some of you, get to grips with health and fitness. That can be for yourself or for somebody else. And it can also mean this is the time for general maintenance, running repairs, that kind of thing. So you definitely be sort of writing and then ticking off the to-do list. And it's probably going to be quite a productive time, because Mercury's there as well, very much focusing your mind on that. Maybe you learning new skills, how to do things, maybe sort of scratching your head about bits of kit, or it could be that there's you being useful and helpful to somebody else. It could very much be like that. So up until the 23rd, it's you being of service to somebody else in a practical sort of a way. And then from the 21st, Mercury moves into your opposite sign, that's Sagittarius, of course, and almost immediately, 2 days later, so does the Sun. So you get this massive emphasis on partnership, on teaming up, or so that could be partnership or teaming up or sharing more with others, or bouncing ideas around, getting somebody else's slant on things, feeling more support or being more supportive in a relationship. It's not going to be a time to go it alone. It's two heads are better than one during this time here. And there could be maybe some attraction, mutual attraction, but definitely mutual interaction as well. And then until the 9th, Venus has been beaming a friendly light into the root of your chart, so embellishing the home space maybe, or doing things, round and about, which just makes everything feel more comfortable, more pleasant. Or it can be property matters and searching for property, finding a property. It can be about buying, selling, that kind of thing. It could also be a good time for you to really appreciate who you've got around you in the home space, or the home space itself, or maybe it's not your home, maybe you're somewhere else and you're just appreciating the home space, temporary as it is, or the neighborhood, or maybe it's family connections, maybe it's tribal type connections as well. So it could be any of these sorts of things, but also over and above everything, it could be just a real connecting in with the earth where you are, Mother Nature. And then from the 9th, Venus moves into a more sociable mood, making new friends, maybe capitalizing on old associations, making connections with people. Could be boost your love life, being more playful and creative, or maybe getting more access to leisure type activities, hobbies, performance or speculative type activities as well is favored. So you seeing the potential in things, or you and another seeing the potential in something, or indeed another seeing the potential in you, and admiring glances coming your way, but also vice versa. This is altogether a possibility with Venus here. Yes, feeling freer in a more creative kind of way, coming more from your creative core, and maybe finding that is quite lucrative for you. There's a possibility of that. Or maybe wanting to be creative and actually getting the wherewithal in order to do that, or getting the right venue or something like that. And then Mars has also been at the root of your chart, but then moves on the 13th. So Mars has been really firing up things at the root of your chart, where you've been wanting to make the environment more beautiful and enjoyable, or maybe getting out and about more. Mars is really putting the touch paper under that, and meaning that you could be busier than usual in and around HQ, or being somewhere else as well, but just physically on the go more. Lots of hustle and bustle going on around you. Maybe it's not you yourself so much, but you having to sort of make space for the hustle and bustle, or make arrangements for this activity, more activity, right in your own backyard, or not very far away, or to do with the community, the neighborhood, family, that kind of thing. Mars in this area could mean a lot more coming and going as well, but skeletons can start rattling in the closet. This area is emotional, so feelings could be nearer the surface. Somebody could push a button of yours more easily, and there could be elements of the past. They start the waves sort of coming in and harking back to how it was, comparing to how it is now. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is for you to decide. And you could be putting your energies more into things which connect you with tradition and a tribal sort of background as well. And then Venus moves out of there on the 9th, Mars moves out of there on the 13th, so they're together again, and it's always really great to have Venus and Mars together, I would say. Even though Mars does tend to be hasty and a bit aggressive, Venus just smooths his feathers, you know, pours oil on troubled waters. So this could get time to get active with projects that you enjoy and which are rewarding. From the 23rd, you'll benefit more. Yeah, I've said that already. From the support of another in close relationship, and not a time to be going it alone. And then in September, not in September. We've had September. Saturn. Oh yeah, in September, Saturn returned to your opposite sign. I can't read my own writing. And that is Sagittarius. So this long-term position of Saturn is ultimately constructive, I would say, for your sign, because it gets you to work harder because of the situation, the conditions, the moods, the requirements, the needs of an opposite number. So this could be a series of opposite numbers, or it could be like one main one and then a series. So it just depends. You could feel a lack, though. There's various ways this Saturn transit can work. You could feel a lack of there not being the right person there, or the right being. It might not be a person. For you to feel like you are not alone. Or it might be different to that altogether. It might be that just you've got to tailor your needs to suit theirs. You've got to compromise. You've got to figure out how to cooperate and collaborate, and it's just hard work, you know, and that's just the way it is. And also it can make or break a relationship. Now, I have to say that it will only break a relationship if it's already on its last legs anyway. But it can also make a relationship where you take the needs and requirements of an opposite number or a partner much more seriously, and you really do set about, you know, doing what you can to take those responsibilities more seriously and be more committed. So you put the thing on a formal footing, maybe some of you. Jupiter is now in your home area. Oh, I should tell you, if I could see it, you Geminians born the 24th to the 29th of May, or with 3 to 8 degrees rising, are going to feel the Saturn energy the most this month. And Jupiter is in your home area until next September, highlighting expansion related to your place on the map or your actual space inside. So you could be putting on an annex or an extension of some kind. This transit also inwardly helps you to feel more emotionally settled. So that is going to be a good thing, I'd say. But outwardly, maybe growing more into an environment, and if you've been feeling cramped or restless, now is a very, very good time to move. Or if there's another reason for moving, this is a great time to move under this transit, which will be there until next September. And there could be a newcomer in the family. This is another way this expansive energy can be working as well. You Geminians born from the 5th to the 12th of June, or with 15 to 21 degrees rising, are going to feel this energy the most this forecast period. And then a mention of Neptune once again, going through your career area. Remember to respect and honor all of your goals in life whilst integrating the practice of higher service as often as you are able and in whatever supportive way you can, or just service. Because, but I don't, by higher service, I don't mean like doing really, really menial type tasks, unless it is, there's no way I can generalize about this. So just erase what I just said, because But whatever's higher service for you, that's what I want to say. Yeah, whatever is for you, higher service. It's not just the run-of-the-mill, menial, manual, everyday stuff. It's higher service. So whatever that's about for you, and you can be quite successful during this transit in your career areas, as long as you are doing something which has that more service-orientated feel to it, and charitable even. And you Geminians born the 27th to the 31st of May, or with 6 to 8 degrees rising, feel the energy the most this month. Also artistic and to do with spirituality and healing. If you were following those type of things in your career area, then you're on the right track, I'd say. And that's it for November. If you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to those. If you want to check up on anything, it's written up on my website. Probably better than I just said it, actually, at DianaGarland.com. And I'll see you the next time.